Good morning and welcome back to CityLine. In this segment, I have two amazing women that I'll be talking to about old places and new spaces. We are adaptively reusing reused trail bike tour, and this collaboration is really interesting, so I'm just going to introduce them and let them take it away. Anneka Olson, you are the one of the historic preservation officers, and you work in that office. Welcome, my dear. Thanks. You and I both dressed alike today. I love this. It's so great. And then Meredith Soniat, you are the active transportation coordinator. Welcome as well. Okay, I'm going to do this now so you're able to move your feet.
Okay, thanks.
I'd like the camera to zoom in on her knees on down. So like get these sandals in here. Okay, hold still because I know Cheryl's working on it. Someone's working on it. Because this is the way that you biked here today, and you will bike to and from work. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Hold your foot up for a second, just for 1 second. Okay, there we go. See? All right. So for those of us like myself who would say, I couldn't possibly dress that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there we go. So, May is both Historic Preservation Month and Bike Month. And let's talk about some of the festivities that are going on in ways that are separate but also have come together. When we think about Anneka, Historic Preservation Month, there's always all kinds of new twists on Tacoma's history. So before we find out about some twists, why don't you go ahead and talk more about just what's happening this year?
Great. Yeah, so Historic Preservation Month is actually celebrated nationally, and it has been since 1976. Here locally in Tacoma, we work with a lot of different great arts and heritage organizations to put together a great slate of programming to really connect people of all ages to local history here in Tacoma.
I love that. And then conversely, peanut butter to jelly, Bike Month works to raise awareness of local bicycling resources. So when we think about that, think about this month and then tell me, how does it engage with community?
Yeah, so Bike Month is a partnership that exists between the City of Tacoma, Pierce County, and Pierce Transit, and we're in our 11th year of this partnership. And we as the City of Tacoma host a few events throughout the month, but really it's more of a partnership with other organizations. So we work with Second Cycle, with Downtown on the Go, Kiddical Mass, and many different others who host events, bike rides, and information sessions about how to get people on bikes and get people more comfortable with riding bikes.
There we go. Yeah, I love that. How to get them on, which is so huge. I think once they're on, they're okay.
Yeah.
It's just that path to get there. So the theme for Historic Preservation Month is adaptive reuse, which is very interesting. So what does the term mean, and why is it important to Tacoma?
Yeah, so adaptive reuse refers to taking an old building and repurposing it for to do something inside of it that it wasn't originally built for. So it's really one of the most important things that we can do with historic preservation here at the local level, because it allows us to maintain some of the great historic resources that we have here, but also to be able to reflect new community needs by being able to update the building. The other great thing about adaptive reuse, and why we've chosen it as this year's theme, is because of the environmental benefits of reusing old buildings and not having to build from scratch. So,
I love that. So, we've got a little video here. Let's talk about this. What are we looking at?
This looks like just various shots of people biking, different rides. This might be downtown to Defiance. People are just enjoying riding their bikes.
Oh, and look at the weather. Perfect.
Yeah. So, yeah, biking to the market.
All
Absolutely
ages,
wonderful.
as we say. So, Anneka, let's go back to, as we kind of just enjoy the scenery here via bike in Tacoma, a salvage art show and iron art competition kicked off the Historic Preservation Month. How did it go?
Oh, it was great. I'm sorry you missed it. It was really fun. It was a really great way for families to come and think about how to reuse recycled materials. So we held it at Earthwise Architectural Salvage.
I love that place.
It's such a cool spot.
Isn't it? Yes.
There's a lot of cool old stuff here. Looks like we're showing some footage of the event. And one of the best parts of it was that we did an iron art sculpture competition. So everybody got mystery bags of recycled goodies, and then they had to build a sculpture in just 30 minutes. So
Wow,
it was
okay.
pretty fun.
And tell us who was playing on that day.
That band is called Squirrel Butter.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Fabulous. And then, oh my, this is amazing too, because when we look at this, food, yes, of course there was food. Here's the mystery bag. So what were in the mystery bags? Give us a little hint.
Just junk.
Stuff. Just whatever it was, you took home. Okay, now let's talk about this.
Oh yeah, and it was all done by hand tools. That's actually me in the hat. We took third place, my boyfriend and I. But no favoritism from the judge.
There we go.
It was fun.
Yeah. So, okay, so then we have the bike swap. The bike swap, it kicked off the bike month, and let's talk more about how you got residents ready for the upcoming activities, because you just can't say, okay, we're going to have a race without giving us some warning.
Right. So the bike swap is really, it's a great community event. We hold it at University of Puget Sound, and basically take over one of the parking lots and do, there's tons of people selling bikes and bike parts. So people can come to get their bike checked out if they haven't used it in a while. Or they can get a refurbished bike, which is really great. It's a good entry level because not everybody wants to spend $1,000 on their first bike. So it's a good entry level access into biking. And there's also people there with bike maps that can help you route whether it's your route to work or to the grocery store or whatever, just help you figure out the best route for you.
I love that. Yeah. So and I love the fact that in addition to giving us great routes and great maps, you also just talk about how to slowly get yourself involved in this, that it's not one of those things you just, jump on and go. And also just the benefits. I mean, I think about your generation doesn't have a car, and I would have never thought of growing up without a car from 18 years old. But now my daughter, who's 26, doesn't have a car. I want her to exist without a car. I'm like, bike, mass transit for as long as you can. So you make it so much easier.
We're trying.
You're trying. So major events are still coming up, including the Youth Historical Fiction Reading, which sounds fabulous. So how do you connect with young readers?
Yeah, so this was a new program for us this year in the Historic Preservation Office. So we worked with two local partners who are doing, who do work around literary arts here in Tacoma. And we created with them this really neat new resource guide, which has a bunch of historic resources and information for young writers to read through, and then to try to create their own short story based on some of these lesser known moments in Tacoma history. So for example, one of my favorites is about Nettie Asbury, and she was a civil rights pioneer who lived in Tacoma's Hilltop. And she also was one of the first African-American women to get a PhD. So it was a way of both exposing young writers to that history and then inviting them to be creative about it. And we'll have a fiction reading of the winner's short stories coming up on the 21st of May.
Oh, I love that. That is fabulous. So, okay, so let's jump back over here to the bikes. So it's right around the corner, Bike to Work Day. And again, we showed how both of you are dressed. So give us some tips for someone who wants to participate, that maybe cycles, but has never cycled to work.
Right. So I think our attire is evident of the fact that you don't have to have spandex to be able to bike to work. I think that's something people often think you need to have all the gear, and you really don't. You can dress comfortably. If you do have a long commute, it's advisable maybe to bring a change of clothes to work. But it's fairly easy if you can map out your route before actually going to work. That's helpful too, and maybe test it out beforehand as well.
That's right. There we go. Yeah, going to Sunday,
Yeah.
Monday kind of thing. So let's talk about the Bike Everywhere Challenge, because ultimately that is what, in a perfect world, we'd be doing.
Right. So we realize that biking to work does have its challenges. Some people do have to be, maybe you work at the very top of a hill and it's really challenging to get up there and still look presentable. So, and people have kids, so taking their kids to school in advance of getting to work is sometimes cumbersome, though it's possible. So biking the Bike Everywhere Challenge is really just a way to ease, as I said, ease people into biking. So you can bike to the grocery, you can bike to dinner, go bike to grab a beer, and it's really it's a way to try it out. And people can record their trips on Pierce Trips for a chance to win fun prizes over the course of the month. So
I love that. That's
yeah,
perfect. Okay, so both of you partner with community groups throughout the year, and especially in this month, but you've also partnered together on the upcoming event, Old Places, New Spaces. We've talked about now Adaptive Reused Trails Bike Tour. So Meredith, let's talk about these last few minutes, the tour and the trail and which part it utilizes.
Sure. So we're starting and ending at 7 Seas in Tacoma, and we're going to go down the Prairie Line Trail, part of it that's newly completed. So heading through the University of Washington at Tacoma all the way down to the waterfront, and then going to go along the Esplanade, along Foss, which is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
And then up the Water Flume Line Trail and back to 7 Seas. So it's a relatively, there are definitely some hills, but it's about 3 to 3.5 miles, I believe, total. So it's something that is family friendly, and we hope to see people out there.
I love that. So how does historic preservation fit in?
Yeah, well, the great thing about the 3 trails that Meredith just mentioned is that they're all historic corridors of some kind. So the Foss Esplanade is, of course, the historic waterfront, but the Prairie Line Trail was actually the terminus of the Northern Pacific Railroad when it first rolled into Tacoma in 1873. So it's a very, very historically significant corridor. But what we hope to highlight on this tour is not just the importance of that history, but also the way that we can build on those assets today and really adaptively reuse those spaces to make new public spaces for the community to use.
I love that. That's fabulous. Thank you, both of you, for taking time out of a obviously very busy month, separately and collaboratively, for being here, because you've got a lot on your plate, and you just don't start planning this month a month before or even 2 months before. This is a year around that leads to what you're doing right now. So thank you to you and all the people we couldn't fit on that couch for making it easier for all of us to know about history and also bike to work. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, a little bit more musical chairs, and when we come back, the American Red Cross will be here. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.